Hello and welcome back, all of my freaks, geeks, and homicidal maniacs. As promised, I have a more advanced trapped hallway bustling with features just for you. Now, this may look incredibly complicated, however, even the most novice redstoner can throw this together and start killing people or protecting their valuables in just a few minutes. Now, I'm going to show you the basic rundowns of how this works before explaining all the advanced components and then building it for you. So, over here, we have a button tied to a T flip-flop. If you don't know what that is, it basically turns a button into a lever and allows multiple buttons or other inputs to control it. Very important. So this button would obviously be hidden somewhere in your base, or perhaps even very obviously if you want to lure people into your trap. However, you're also going to need to step onto this pressure plate. It kind of allows the trap to know that somebody's actually coming in, but even if you step on this without the button being pressed, it won't open the door. So again, you can either hide it or make it very obvious so you can kill people. Over here is another T flip-flop tied to the trap. It is armed when the light is lit. You don't really need the indicator, but it helps. And we're going to just turn it off just so you can see how this works just for the moment. So we'll go ahead and press this button, step on this pressure plate, door opens and allows us in. Now, one of the interesting things I have is I have the redstone tied to the T flip-flop, so it automatically relocks your door as soon as you go through. So even if you go through, nobody can just walk in behind you. So we'll go ahead and activate this again, and this time activate the trap and show you just how well it works. So we'll just go ahead and step on this pressure plate, rush on through, and before we can even get to the door, it drops out below. Now, obviously, you can toggle your trap to be a little quicker, be a little bit slower, depending on what you need. I like to have a button here just to kind of let them know they can come through and get in. However, if you want to be truly insidious, you can do one other thing by replacing this portion right here with a redstone torch. Obviously, you're going to need to finagle your door a little bit better. If you can... there we go. So, essentially, the button there will be just entirely for show, and you'll have a secondary mechanism that actually opens the door. This way, people think they can get into your base by simply pressing a button, and that's not true. So, now that we have this all set up, I will explain kind of how everything works. So, all of this is tied to kind of an AND switch. Essentially, an AND switch means two buttons must be pressed at the same time in order for something to activate, or in this case, two torches. Hence the name AND. Then they activate the little torch that's right here that controls the door. Now, everything is tied to this redstone that connects here, so once this turns on, there's a very brief timer that resets the T flip-flop and locks everything, as well as either activates or deactivates the trap. This is also set up to a very, very basic AND switch, in that both of these need to be off in order to turn this on. Well, I suppose NAND is the correct word, but we won't get too complicated. So anyway, we'll go ahead and show you how to build these things over here. Alright, if you think you're fairly confident throwing all of that together without a tutorial, congratulations, and you may skip this part of the video. However, if you actually want to see how to throw this thing together step by step, stay tuned. So the most important part to start with is this redstone torch right here under either side of the corner of the door. This should keep it hidden enough and still have all your redstone nice and secret. Now, clear out a little bit of area around it. Throw a redstone dust directly under your pressure plate, and then whatever block you want. I like to signify something that has a redstone current running through it with a red wool block. I would put one here, but it already caught on fire once and I had to restart the video. You're going to put a redstone torch there, and that essentially converts an off signal to an on signal until turned off. Sounds complicated, but it's not, I assure you. We're going to loop it around into another redstone block, and we're going to tie that to a torch as well. Another terminology that you might want to learn today is a NAND switch. An AND switch is off until turned on, and a NAND switch is on until turned off. It's pretty much like putting not in front of something, so non. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and throw together a T flip-flop. Again, this basically turns any input into a lever, which is very important. You can do this any way you want in any direction. It starts off with a single dropper, not a dispenser, facing upward. And then you can put whatever you want facing into it on whatever direction. So like so. Again, whatever direction you want. I'm going to do it this way. It doesn't really matter. And then you're going to have a hopper facing down into this one, and then another dropper facing into the hopper. So essentially it kind of makes a circuit. Everything's going around. Then you throw a button wherever you want it to activate, and then you throw a single item into it. You can kind of show this off right here with this comparator. An item is in there. You press it. It is no longer in there. You press it again, and it's back in there. So essentially, like I said, turns any input into whatever. I'm pretty sure you can make either of these bottom ones with a button. It really doesn't matter, just where you want it to go. So what I like to do is put a repeater here because it essentially needs to power the entire block, just not just the block it's going into. So it essentially makes that entire block powered on. So we're going to loop this away. And that is going to tie to our secret lever, wherever that is. There, and then a button. So this button would turn on and off. Next, we're going to have... Oops, I should have done this back one more. Doesn't matter, because we can just face this to the side. Pretty much do the exact same thing. Especially since... we kind of need to make this into a powered by default. So there we go. That should work just fine. Yeah, something like so. So you can see when you turn it on or off, it essentially keeps that signal on or off. Again, you can fit this better. I did not do a good job. Okay. So this essentially allows you to open your door. We can go ahead and show that right now. Put a block over here too. Oh, I turned it off. Whoops. There we go. So you can see that's off. Now this is off, and it keeps the door open for as long as you're standing on this pressure plate. You can just hop on through. Now, the other thing you can do to make this a little bit more complicated and featureful, you can just connect this to your block and have it like so. Again, I kind of did this very poorly because I needed to fit it all together. But you get the general idea. Pretty much loop it around, and as soon as you step on that pressure plate, it will reset the circuit. Now we're going to throw a repeater on or two, just so you can see the delay. So as soon as you step on this, oops, and press that button, it will hold the door open for just a second, and then immediately close it and relock it behind. Now we need to throw together the more complex variant of this. What I do is throw a little redstone right here, and that essentially is timed based on the door closing. And you can even put a little bit more of a delay so the trap goes off first or the other thing does, just whatever you like. I like to throw a repeater right here, just so the signal of the door opening doesn't accidentally trigger the trap. Essentially makes the circuit one way. Now you throw the torches on here, and essentially when this turns on, it turns that torch off very briefly. Now you're going to also throw together another T flip-flop, and this essentially just allows you to have a lever. You can even honestly have this as a lever, so it's toggled on and off, but I like to have it otherwise. But you know what? We will also throw a lever on it just to really drive home the point that you can just be like, all right, trap on, trap off. And then I like to put a redstone lamp on top of it just so you can see if it's on or off. And then we put a comparator, oops, right here with an item inside. And there we go. Off, on. And then you just tie these two together. And then you just have it connect to your piston. You can have a little bit of a delay on this if you want. The regular delay should be more than enough. Another thing I also just forgot to mention is that this is actually going to have a redstone torch on it. So actually, let's get rid of this, because it essentially will convert the signal. If it's an on signal, it'll turn it off. So then we just put our piston back, and there you go. So essentially, once this redstone torch turns off from the delay, it will do that. Bam. All right, and that is essentially the entire thing. Very simple, very straightforward. Even though I messed it up, still very easy to put together and toggle. So let's go ahead and try this out again. Door open. Uh-oh, what did I do wrong? So let's see, turn this off. Turn this off. Opens the door, you walk in, trap activates. Perfect. And of course you have your chest here collecting all the loot. Alright, I hope that was very brief and informative. If you guys need any help at all, feel free to ask in the comments below and I can help you troubleshoot any of your most common problems. I hope this all helped you and you kill plenty of people trying to break into your house, and I'll see you guys next time.